Hello, everyone. It's Nick from Claret and Booze. Hope you all had a good Christmas. West Ham are back. We're back. We just lost 3-1, unsurprisingly, I suppose. 3-1 away at Arsenal. A game of two halves, you could say. You could say up to a fashion. You know, West Ham winning at 1-0 up, and when Arsenal did eventually get going, we didn't really stand in their way, to be quite frank. You know, it could have been more. I think it was all about keeping the score down because Moyes was clearly concerned with dropping another goal on the goal difference chart because that would have dropped us one down below Everton. So from the minute they went level, it was all about keeping it. Just damage limitation. That's all it was, which is depressing. You know, we've been there before. You know, the Tottenham game. You know, three goals in the last 12 minutes. You can do it. You can if you can. It is possible. You can go for it. But anyway. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you do somehow enjoy this video, then please drop a like on it because it does really help us. So look, let's get into it anyway. We was all keen on finding out what David Moyes has, you know, what plan he's developed for the restart, you know, over the past 6 weeks. And we called the lineups on the weekend. We knew Souček was going to be playing, but we didn't call him. We called Downs instead of Souček, and so it happened. You know, it was exactly the same thing. It was a 4-2-3-1, albeit it was mostly, you know, 10 men behind the ball for the majority of the time. It was Antonio was back deep for the majority of the time. The only thing that I would say in that first half was that at least when we did break, we broke with intent and we looked dangerous, you know, especially down that right-hand side, Bowen up against Tierney, linking up with Antonio. There was a couple of good moments there. But to be fair, Arsenal weren't really at the races in the first half. They weren't. They was a bit slow, a bit lethargic. Declan Rice was playing really well. He was anticipating everything. You know, he was breaking up a lot of their play and their attacks. Souček, I thought was largely anonymous. He was having a bit of a battle with Xhaka, or a battle that he was losing. It was the first half was I was satisfied at half time. I thought, you know, you can't, with the way that we're playing, with the way that we've been set up, you can't really ask for much more than what the players did. I mean, what that did prove was at least, you know, the players did go out. They was giving everything with. Tactically, what they was given to work with, I think the players did their level best. It was pretty much all hands on deck. I mean, especially from the moment we scored that goal, it was everyone was behind the ball, and you're looking at it thinking Arsenal ain't really going to be able to, you know, they might not. They're going to have to play really well to sort of carve us open at this point. But you know, like I say, we got our goal. They had a goal disallowed, didn't they, early on in the first half, rightly so. Marginally offside, but it was offside nonetheless. Saka had a penalty shout, didn't he, after our one? Benrahma dispatched our penalty okay. I don't think it was soft. There's a lot of people that are saying it was a soft penalty. It wasn't. It was a good decision from the ref because effectively, even though it was minimal contact, Bowen's gone through and he's had his ankle clipped. And when you're running at pace like that, not that I'd know. When you're running at pace like that, you get your ankle clips. It's going to knock you off bonk, and that knock you out of bonk, and that's exactly what happened. You know, so it was a right decision, and that's why VAR didn't overturn it. Benrahma dispatches a penalty really well. Like I say, going at half time, relatively happy, but worried because thinking to yourself, how is David Moyes going to manage this? You know, is he, you know, what's the plan? What's the plan, Batman? And we came out in the second half. They had a chance, and then we went straight down the other end. Antonio sort of breaks through on goal, and really good chance from him. I mean, it was poor defending from Arsenal initially, but then they did kind of recover. They closed the angle for Antonio. He couldn't, you know, he probably should have done better, but nonetheless, it was Antonio that created that mess, that chance. You know, so you can't really knock him too much. But you know, 2-0 would have been a little bit more comfortable, even though when you look at the final scoreline, still wouldn't have won it for us. And then they managed to get their goal. It was pretty much the same as a tail end of the first half for the up until their goal. We was just camping people behind the ball, you know. We weren't hoofing the ball out. I mean, there was some great passing from Dawson. He was spreading the play really well. Some of his passing in the first and second half, was delicious at times. It was really good. But nonetheless, we was just sitting behind the ball. That's and you felt with the way they came out, there was more intensity to their game in that second half. You just felt it was going to come. Arsenal just kept on doing what they was told to do. It wasn't working for them in the first half, but obviously they probably had a bit of a rocket at half time. They came out and they just did everything a little bit quicker and a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner, and they started picking us apart. And eventually, the goal that got the that got their equaliser, it was a bit of luck really. Odegaard's cut in from the left hand side, and he's scuffed a shot, which has found its way through to Saka, who's taken the ball really well and finished it. Good goal. And then not long after that, Martinelli, the ball breaks for him down the left hand side, and Fabianski. It was relatively close, and it was a bullet, but fuck me, mate, it's at your near post. You're on the near post as well, and he's just literally. It was a good goal. But nonetheless, you expect your keeper to be dealing with that. He didn't. 2-1. And then Nketiah. Nketiah, I thought, had a good game, to be honest. He was a pest. He was all over the place. He was busy. Probably should have done a little bit better with a few chances they had in the first half. But, he took his goal really well. Beautiful turn, beautiful shot, goal, 3-1. And it looked like they was going to go for more. And all the while, David Moyes isn't really doing much, of course. He looks like he was in a state of shock. Thinking, shit, because we're both, us and Everton are on -7 goal difference now, but we've scored one more, so we stay above them in the league. He obviously knows this. He's thinking, shit, we've got to retain our lead here. We can't, not the lead. We've got to retain our place in the table. We can't drop. So it was all about just not conceding the fourth. From that point on, It was thoroughly depressing in that second half, and nothing has changed. The team is the same. It's the same team, the same shape, the same formation. Paqueta battled, but was anonymous, did nothing on the ball, really. Like I say, Souček was anonymous. Rice played well. Benrahma was okay. I don't like him operating too deep because he gets caught in possession quite a lot, which is... he's a tricky player. He's a winger. He doesn't like to let it go. It's dangerous to have that outside our own box. But he was tracking back. He was trying. I thought Bowen was okay in the first half. Disappeared in the second half. Antonio played well. Played really well. He was having a good battle with Gabriel and Saliba for the entire game, for the time that he was on. And you could see from the mentality of Moyes by when he did actually bring Divin Mabama on for. He gave him his was it his league debut? I don't know. With about 7 or 8 minutes to go. Bearing in mind it's only 3-1. He brings Mabama on for Antonio. Doesn't go 2 up front. You got a kid coming on. Why not leave him on there with Antonio? What have you got to lose? Seriously. Throw them both up front. Why not? Give that kid more of a chance of succeeding, because any striker, it'd be a dream to play alongside Antonio because of all the work that he does. So I didn't understand that at all. There's a lot I don't understand. I've got to be honest. I said I wasn't going to melt down too much over this because I was expecting a defeat, and I haven't. I'm just being open and honest. You got to call it for what it is. It was not great. It weren't great. I thought the application of the players was fine. It didn't look like they're down tools. So there's that. There is that. And we looked better on the counter attack, but I think that's because we had Antonio as opposed to Scamacca, and that's not because Antonio is a better player, but that's because Antonio is most suited to this system. So Antonio will always look better in a David Moyes team than probably anyone else because of the amount of running that he does. He just gets it. It's an unusual job that these strikers are asked to play, and that's why I think that wingers are more adept to it, because they haven't got the natural instincts of a striker to just sort of sit around that 18-yard box and wait for service. They've almost got to fend for themselves and create their own stuff. And that's like I say, that's why I think he likes to adapt wingers. But it just went as expected. There was no surprises. Almost. Halfway through the game, 1-0 up. But on the whole, we was just lucky it weren't more. Let's face it. We was lucky it weren't more. Benrahma lost the ball. Odegaard got it, blazed it wide. They had countless opportunities. We did have a good chance towards the end. A little bit of interplay between Ben Rama and Fornells, and a great save from Ramsdale because he was unsighted with that shot from about 20 yards. So we was, yeah. And this is what I mean. Why not go for it? So yeah, and the minute they equalised, you could see that was it. It was all about fuck me. We were shutting up shop before that happened, but when they equalised, and that's not a winning mentality. We haven't got a winning mentality anymore. We haven't. It's not. When other teams, when teams go a goal down, they give everything to claw that back and get back in front again. With us, it weren't the case. It's just not the case, and it's unfortunate. And like I say, we did start well. We was aggressive. We was snapping into them. We was that like I said earlier on, there was a lot of application there, but for no reward at all. And on paper, we've got a decent team. The defence was a bit scary today when you saw it on paper. Up when you consider what they had to go and get up against. Obviously, Cresswell, Soufal versus Saka and Martinelli. You was thinking, oh, don't like that at all. But look, it is what it is. The big one, that's gone. That's gone how we all thought it was going to go. Let's face it. The big one is Brentford. Brentford's towels are up. You saw them against Spurs earlier on. They went 2-0 up. They look brilliant. But you can't write Spurs off. They do that to everyone. 2 chances, 2 goals. That's all they need. Brentford are going to be a serious problem for us, I think. They play in a similar way to us in the sense that they're defensively organised and they play on the counter-attack, except I think their counter-attack is better than ours. I think their forward line is better than ours. I just think they're a better managed and coached unit than us. My son said earlier on, he said if David Moyes managed Brentford would be bottom of the league with the players that they've got versus the players that we've got because they're just coached better. They know what they're doing. They know their jobs. Then most of those players that are in that Brentford team, Ivan Toney aside, would look bang average if they went to other teams. They would. But he's developed. He's got a good team there, a really, really good team. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it at all. That's the big one. And like I say, if you listen to David Moyes' pre-match interview, where he gave that, he gave a bit of a message to the ball, didn't he? He referenced Arteta and he went, yeah, if you look back at Arteta, he struggled. And then look at him now. And credit to the Arsenal board because, it's sometimes some of these boards, it's just they do these stupid knee-jerk decisions and they go and sack their managers. It was clearly a message, not just to the ball, but to the experts as well. And is it stupid? Is it stupid, Dave? Because don't forget, only 5 years ago, mate, and it was only 5 years ago, you relegated Sunderland. That was a full season. You came in the summer. You signed 13 players. You signed their record player, who ended up being 2 of them. A 13 million player, I can't even remember their names, and an £8 million player that they couldn't get rid of after he left. So they went AWOL when they got relegated. It took them a year, and eventually they had to sack him, and they lost all the money. They lost all the money they paid out for him. It was an absolute disaster, and they went down on 24 points, 16 points away from safety. They went out with a whimper, and that wasn't Yo-Yo Sunderland. That was their 10th consecutive season in the Premier League. This is our 11th, to put that in perspective. So they'd been in the Premier League for 10 years, and then Moyes comes along, bang, gone, straight down. And like I say, this is our 11th, and it's not impossible. I know on paper we've got far more. It seems ridiculous to consider that we could get relegated with this team, and it is because this is a false position. Surely you've only got to look at some of our players, but they look average in our team. Paqueta today, does he look like a £50 million player? Not to me. Not to me, it don't, and that's not a criticism of the player, but I just don't think anyone's inspired. I don't. The only one who looks brilliant every game is Declan Rice, and that's because, like I say, he's a little bit different, and and David Moyes has built his entire team around Declan Rice. So Declan Rice is always going to shine. Declan Rice is literally at the heart of everything that David Moyes does, and that's why he always performs. He always looks brilliant. But no, so yeah, David Moyes might think it's stupid and pathetic to sack your manager halfway through a season when you're loitering with relegation. But I wonder what Sunderland fans were thinking halfway through the season. I wonder what they would wish that their board had done. Because that whole second half of that season, just the arse fell out of it. It was worse than the first. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope we improve. I hope it gets better. I was very hopeful at half time, but yeah, that's killed me a little bit. It was a bit heartbreaking. I'm worried. I'm incredibly worried. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, look, that's me done. And we'll be back tomorrow for our group live show. We'll do a player ratings, and we'll do a proper show. We'll do a phone in as well, so you can all call in. All right, okay, that's it from me. Come in your hands.